This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. All right, trying to get this video out early to make sure that it doesn't get ruined by Andrew Berry. So the Browns are still in free agency mode. We're still wondering what the Browns are going to do. I have a list of names that I think the Browns will go after, and a list of names that I hear a lot that I don't think the Browns will have any interest in going forward. So let's talk about it. Let's start with the no's, right? Because there's a lot of names that I get in comment sections, on replies on Twitters. I said Twitters. I don't know why I said Twitters. Twitter. And I think these names aren't going to happen, right? I don't want to get people's hopes up that this could happen. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think it's going to happen for very specific reasons I think make a ton of sense. Marquise Brown, not going to happen. Going to be too expensive, one. Two, the Browns don't really have a need for Marquise Goodwin. He already fits the mold of an Elijah Moore. Don't really need a dude like that. So it doesn't make much sense. Hunter Renfrow. While the Clemson ties are there, while the Deshaun Watson ties are there, while this is something that could have made sense a couple of weeks ago, it no longer does because the Browns are traded for Jerry Jeudy, who plays slot receiver. So given that Jerry Jeudy is going to take up 60% of the slot snaps and probably Amari Cooper is going to take up 40% of the slot snaps, and 30%, and then the other 10 are going to go to Elijah Moore, there's just no snaps for Hunter Renfrow unless somebody gets injured. And why would Hunter Renfrow sign up somewhere where there's no snaps really available for him? Why would the Browns sign somebody so they could put Hunter Renfrow in the slot versus Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy, who they feel like are superior at that position? This would just be to make Deshaun Watson happy. And I've said this before, the Browns, I don't get where this perception comes, but the Browns have not operated in a way just to make Deshaun Watson happy. He's pushed for DeAndre Hopkins. They didn't go after DeAndre Hopkins. He's probably pushed for Mike Williams. They didn't go for him. They're not going to just sign guys because Deshaun Watson wants him here. That's not how this works. It's not how AB operates. So yeah, I doubt that. Mike Williams, don't think that's happening. Thought this had a strong chance of happening before they signed Jerry Jeudy. They wanted to get a big body receiver in there, but they opted for Jerry Jeudy instead. So they're opting for volume at the wide receiver position more than diversity there. So I think that Mike Williams is not going to happen. Again, similar situation to Hunter Renfrow. Mike is going to take a lot of his snaps out wide. We know that they really still believe in Elijah Moore. They traded for him last year. They obviously believe in Amari Cooper. They have David Njoku to be a big body target. And then now Jerry Jeudy is somebody who can go from slot to wide as well. So where are the snaps for Mike Williams? And Mike Williams, when he's in a 1-year prove-it deal type situation, is probably going to want to go somewhere where he's guaranteed targets. He's not guaranteed targets. He's probably not going to want to sign with the team, and especially take a team-friendly deal to sign with that team to take a small role. So don't think that's going to happen. I don't see Mike Williams' agent pushing him towards Cleveland. I don't see Mike Williams seeing Cleveland as an attractive location anymore. I don't see the Browns pushing to get him. I doubt this is going to happen. I seriously do. Calvin Ridley, similar situation. Really no incentive for him to sign in Cleveland. Really no incentive for the Cleveland Browns to sign in Cleveland. And again, this is how I try to look at things. I try to look at what makes sense given what the team does. They have invested in Elijah Moore. They have invested in Jerry Jeudy. They have taken two guys in day 2 of the draft, in Cedric Tillman and David Bell. They still believe in those guys. So I don't think the belief went anywhere. And obviously, they're paying Amari Cooper $20 million. That's 5 guys that they're heavily invested in. Then you got somebody like Marquise Goodwin, who they seem to really want to carve a role out for last year in the offense, especially with Deshaun Watson. I don't think that's gone away. I think they want to see what that looks like with the healthy Deshaun Watson. And they want somebody to kind of run those Marquise Goodwin routes. So now we're up to 6 people. And then maybe they might draft somebody. Maybe they might keep James Prochet to return punts if Naheem Hines doesn't work out. You see what I mean? Where there's no space for the Browns to really operate. Like, they're pretty set at wide receiver. And going after Calvin Ridley would be like, well, why? It wouldn't make any sense. Honestly, going after another wide receiver that we know of wouldn't really make sense. The only wide receivers I see them going after are in the draft or guys who might compete for a spot. Like, maybe you bring in somebody to compete with James Prochet for his punt return spot. Or maybe you bring in another speedster to compete with Marquise Goodwin. But even that, I don't think is very likely. I think they like Marquise Goodwin, who I believe is still under contract with the team. And if he's not, he can be very cheaply picked up. So no, I don't think the Browns are going to be interested in going in that direction. Chase Young is another one where I don't think the Browns are going to be interested in going that direction. It's just because of they have already spent a ton of money at edge and a ton of resources at edge, right? You have Myles Garrett, who obviously, I mean, big dog there. And then you have Zadarius Smith, who you just spent $12 million on. Then you have Isaiah McGuire, who you spent a draft pick on. You have Alex Wright, who you spent a day 2 draft pick on that they like. And Obo Okoronkwo, who you spent money on. I mean, that's 5 guys that you really feel good about. So you have room for a 6th guy. You already tendered Sam Kamara, so that's probably going to be the 6th guy there. Or you're going to draft somebody. Again, no room for a name like Chase Young there, who's probably going to command anywhere from $8 to $12 million for the year. It just doesn't make very much sense. Now, where it does make sense for the Browns to spend money are on the defense, right? I think they're pretty much done spending money on the offense, but in the defensive interior, it makes sense for them to spend a little money. Maybe at linebacker / safety, it makes sense for them to spend a little money. And maybe, they're done at corner. They're done at corner. But here are some names I think are interesting for the Browns to look at. Obviously, Arik Armstead. We have to see what the market is for him. I've heard that the market for Arik and DJ Reader is pretty robust. So we'll see what happens there. I think the Browns are likely to get another defensive tackle, but similar to how they waited for Shelby Harris and similar to how they waited for Zadarius Smith, they're going to wait for some of these markets to kind of clear up and to get the deal that they want right now, right? I don't think they're going to be willing to go past their original framework for a DJ Reader or a Arik Armstead in order to land them. I think they're going to want to get somebody at their price, and they're willing to wait until that price is right for that player. So DJ Reader is in play. Less so Arik, because I think he's going to command more money, but DJ's who I've heard has had a more robust market. So we'll see. The market usually determines the price, and if the market's hot for DJ, then DJ is probably going to get the most money. If it's not hot for Arik, then he not. Sheldon Rankins could be somebody that they go after. Tierra Tart, somebody who has experience with Jim Schwartz in Tennessee, I believe, would make a little bit of sense there. Running back is a position I think they'll throw some flyers at. J.K. Dobbins makes some sense. Obviously, you don't want to have all your running backs coming back from ACL injuries, but if it's like a flyer kind of a prove it deal situation, I do think J.K. Dobbins could end up making a bit of sense, and maybe that works out for the Cleveland Browns because J.K., if he gets back healthy, and it depends on when he can get back healthy, I think the Browns want somebody who could take some snaps day one. Maybe they feel like Jerome Ford's fine there. Like maybe we're all underestimating how they feel about Jerome Ford. But again, the Browns are a team that have a price. They're now going to be willing to break it. And the running back market has been like consistently $2-3 million above what everybody's been anticipating. So if that trend continues, then they're not going to sign a running back. But I think the two that would make some sense is Donta Foreman, J.K. Dobbins, cheap prove-it deal type situations. There are a couple of linebacker / safety guys that I think are interesting, right? Devin White is available. Maybe his market dies down to where he has to sign for less money and the Browns decide to pair him next to JOK. That would be interesting. The piece that I think the Browns might see as a fun experiment, especially Jim Schwartz, that they might really go after is Isaiah Simmons. You remember him? He was a top 10 pick in the draft out of Clemson. He was seen as a Swiss Army knife coming out of Clemson. And the issue with those kind of players is if teams don't know what to do with you, if you get drafted to a team that doesn't have a plan for you, it can really disorient your career because people just don't have an accurate picture of where to put you. Like JOK was somebody who was seen as a Swiss Army knife, right? But I think the Browns did right by him. And I think there's another player, Trenton Simpson, that the Ravens are doing right by. But let's start with JOK. When the Browns drafted JOK, they said, we're just going to play him at will linebacker. And they played him at will linebacker for a couple of years. Let him get that identity as a linebacker, not a safety. He's a linebacker. Then 2023 comes along. 2023 comes along, and he's getting more confident. You give him more responsibility. You start to put him at Mike. Start to give him some safety responsibilities. Start to let him fly around. Grant Delpit, another example. Guy seen as kind of a Swiss Army knife. They have to move him around a bunch to find what he's really good at. Isaiah Simmons is similar to Grant Delpit, in my opinion, right? Where he's kind of a safety, he's kind of a linebacker. And while I think DeAnthony Bell did a great job in filling in for Grant Delpit, if you wanted to upgrade that role, I think that Isaiah Simmons could make some sense behind Grant Delpit. And maybe since Isaiah Simmons is so damn big and fast, you can find a way to put him, Grant, and JOK on the field at the same time so you can be ultra athletic. I think if there's a team that can figure it out with Isaiah Simmons for cheap, the Cleveland Browns are that team. Now, this would definitely be a one-year deal thing. I don't think that the Browns are going to look at this as a long-term thing. This will just be for a year. And even Isaiah Simmons would look at it the same way, where he's like, hey, I can come here, they can put me right, and then put a template together for other teams to follow. If I'm Isaiah Simmons, that's how I look at it, right? You want to give teams a template to follow, to use you with for the rest of your career. Right now, teams just don't know what to do with Isaiah Simmons. If he comes to Cleveland and the Browns use him a specific way, all of a sudden teams are going to look at him and say, hey, we can use him like Cleveland used him. Right now, there's not that. That doesn't exist for him. So he needs to find a way for that to exist. And if I'm him, I look at like what they've done with Grant, what they've done with JOK, and I think, oh, that's a team that knows how to use a guy like me. And I would be willing to sign there for a one-year proof deal. He's only 25. He'll be 26 next year if he hits free agency. And then that way he can establish a market for himself. But that's his biggest problem right now, is that he's been used in so many different ways and nobody knows how to use him. But that's my thoughts on the Browns' potential free agency plans. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.